So, who's ever watching this video probably is going to think that this stuff is pretty shallow. Um, I know every time I tell someone about this and this philosophy and these ideas, I always get comments about how shallow it is and that it's just a terrible way of thinking. But they're totally wrong. Um, this video is about resistance. So, arguably the only thing, given that you have the knowledge, that's stopping you from hitting your goals is resistance. Um, Lack of knowledge is something that is given. I mean, you're gonna not know what to do and not know what you need to do in the next steps. But once you figure that out, the next challenge you're gonna face is just resistance. And if you can master resistance and just improve every day about it, and then you just will be so much far ahead than anybody else. And I'm gonna also show you guys how to recognize it and how to tell your brain to recognize it too. So yeah, when you're going for your goal and working towards it, you will face resistance, right? It is the enemy of your goal, and you will have to face it every day. So everything painful that you feel is generally because of resistance. Resistance is the source of that pain. So if you can understand what it is, understand how it operates, you can beat it. So resistance is an internal sensation that is more powerful than any external force in stopping you from achieving your goals. It's the little voice in your head that says you aren't good enough, strong enough, motivated enough to start your journey, right? It is a faceless, formless, heartless energy with the sole purpose of just ensuring that you never start the work that will lead to your true nature, right? So, I'm sure all of you have seen that picture of someone pushing up a boulder up a mountain, like just, you know. And when you think about that picture, first of all, it's not the fact that he's literally pushing a boulder up the mountain. It's not the gravity or the rock or the mountain or the incline. It's literally just the doubts that the person's carrying, like the fears that the person harbors and the pain that they feel. So it's important to realize that, like, when you're facing resistance, I mean, you're producing it. You know, inanimate objects and like just random actions don't produce resistance. Like, let me give you an example. So, let's say you need to send cold emails. Let's say you're sending 100 a day, and I mean, there's no action that's producing the resistance. There's no object. It's not your mouse. It's not your software. It's not the fact you're literally just clicking your mouse across the screen, like copying, pasting data, and just pressing send. Like, if you did that for half an hour, you would probably feel no resistance at all in the world. Maybe some boredom. But it's just because the act of clicking contributes to our goal. Just because this happened, just because it's contributing to our goal and just the better future, you feel resistance. You don't want to do it. So understanding this nature is really interesting. Or like sales calls. I mean, all you're doing in a sales call for the most part is you're just diagnosing them. So you're asking questions, right, and explaining what you do eventually. I mean, you do this like literally every day in the real world. Whether you're at the store and you need to ask for a size shoe, or like you're literally doing the same thing in a sales call, yet why is it so much harder to do it? I mean, you speak all the time. All you're doing is just talking. Why is it so much harder to do in a sales call? So, and again, it's not the act of sales that's producing that resistance, but it's just like, it's hard to explain. Like, there's the objective action and the subjective resistance associated with that action. That's a good way of putting it. So, I mean, just think about it. All you're doing when you're cold calling is just dialing, or all you're doing when you're cold email is just clicking a mouse. Nothing else. That's it. all the resistance that you fear and that you feel is all a product of you, not a product of the activity or action itself. So you need to master that, which is just incredibly difficult. But if you could start seeing the activities you do on a daily basis as just the activities they actually are and not who you are, then they will get easier. Let's say like Tuesday, for example, I need to do 100 cold calls. Okay. All I have to do is click the phone button 200 times on high level and just talk and tell people what to do. That's all I'm doing. And that's why I'm going to do it. Because I look at it like that. Like, if I looked at it like, I'm putting myself out there, I'm doing all this work, I'm doing 200 whole calls, 100 whole calls with 200 clicks for double dialing. Like, if I looked at it like that, I probably wouldn't do it. I'd have too much resistance. So the first principle, I'll put this in the comments. There is an enemy working against you. Okay, like when you're having a business and when you're trying to grow and work for yourself, there is an enemy working against you, and it's resistance. It's nasty, intelligent. I mean, it's just a principle of it. And another principle is that it's relentless. Like, it will just kill you. It will kill your desired dreams, your reality, just quash all of your hopes and dreams. I mean, I can't. It sounds like it's funny, but it's not. Like, it's so serious. Another principle: the enemy is produced by a fragment of you. It's all inside you. It all comes from you. It's you. It's you. It's not something else. It's you. Okay. Another principle: you're not the enemy. It's a force of nature produced by you. Right? If you constantly think that you're the enemy, then that won't end good. But you can't help it. Like, no matter what you do, you can't help it. It will be there. It's just like having a pulse, right? So you're gonna have to literally duel yourself. Like you are that knight in the dragon. Like this war is inevitable. I mean, these things sound preposterous, but like if you haven't worked hard yet or haven't done something that produced resistance yet, then you're not even working at all. I'm sorry. If you're starting some coaching business or something, even if it's like an in-person coaching, even if it's just like try for a summer job and you're not doing anything like for that outreach directly that's systemized just to get those results, and like you're literally failing. I mean, if there's no resistance, you're probably failing. Sorry. So think of it like this: goals come first, resistance comes second. Right. With any goals, there will be resistance. It's like the sun and having a shadow. If you want to be 200 pounds, lean, muscular, and strong, you have to understand that goal is going to take a lot of resistance and war in your brain to get there. Because maybe all it is just working out for 2 hours a day every day and eating a bunch. Maybe that's all the action you're doing. But if it was that easy, then you should be 200 pounds and lean and muscular right now, but you're not. And the reason why that is because of resistance. So resistance can be overcome with pain, love, and assistance. So that's basically what the opposite of resistance is. It's pain, love, and assistance. It's beatable. You need to know that. Like, seriously. So how to define like seeing resistance? This is what I think is shallow, or what most people think is shallow. I don't, obviously, but if something is not aligned with your goals, then it's resistance. I mean, I'm gonna put it out flat like that. You know, you need to redefine how much that goal means to you. Because if you're spending your time every day doing random shit, all of it's resistance. I mean, you're not actually doing anything. This is like, man, how do I explain this? Let me just read 30 different forms of resistance and ask yourself, why can't I do this work? And it's either because of criticism, addiction, feeling vulnerable, support, distraction, warped priorities, justifying, waiting, perfection, research, comfort, learning, rationalization, anxiety, doubt, instant gratification, pain avoidance, uncertainty, opinions, burnout, judging, fear, entitlement, routine, identity, self-loathing, self-love, procrastination, drama, denial, criticism, addiction. If you I bet you if I list all these in the comments and you're sitting there not doing the work that you know you need to be doing or you want to be doing to get to where you want to be, I guarantee you can cross off like 7 of these, at least 7 or more of things, the reasons why you're not doing the work. And if you can map those out and actually understand that, then you might do the work, right? Um, I hate, this is my pet peeve. I see so many people like, I want to start a business, and nobody does anything. That is my pet peeve. I'm gonna, like, honestly. I, and when people have all these things, which they do, it is the main reason why. Um, like, I can tell you right now, if you say you want a business and you just don't, and you're not actually doing anything, I guarantee you can go through this list of 30 things and find multiple things of why you aren't working towards what you want to go, where you want to go. So next time you find yourself sitting there not doing any work, just ask yourself like what am I doing, right? And ask yourself like, is this a form of resistance? And I'm guaranteeing you it is. Like, resistance will be present. It'll be manipulating you. It will. I mean, you're just like, let's say you're sitting there after school and you want to start that business. You want to start working, but then you go on your phone. And obviously, first of all, that could be so many different things. Like, in my opinion, if you're going on your phone, and especially if you're going on like Reels or TikTok, or that right there is a form of instant gratification that's stopping you from getting where you want to be. Another is comfort. You want to be comfortable and you want to just sit there and be comfy. Another thing is addiction. You're probably addicted to your phone. I mean, almost everyone is addicted to their phones nowadays, and that's terrible. Or maybe it's routine. Maybe you're so bent up about working out after school instead of later that you just can't have enough energy after school to work and then work out. Or it's just, maybe it's, yeah, like, it could be routine, you know? It could be judging. Maybe you're scared of what someone thinks, and so you're not doing the work. Like you're doing those cold calls, and then your parents can hear your room or something, and you're afraid of, you have fear, which is one, and you're afraid of being judged. That's another. And all this is distraction too. That's another one. Like, there's so many different reasons why you won't do what you know you need to do. So yeah. This is a good quote. Not doing the work is defined as not doing what you know you should be doing. It literally can be anything. So an actionable thing that you can do right now, first of all, recognize it. Awareness is probably the most important thing, and the second thing is intolerance. You can't let it get to you, right? So yeah, I will post all these main 30 ones that I think are the most relevant, and the description that goes behind each one of them. Just so you guys have a better idea of why you're not doing what you should be. Yeah, but you can, I don't know, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. That's all I got for this video. So yeah, so you know what resistance is now, what form it takes, and hopefully why it exists. Actually, I'm going to talk a little more why it exists. So pain, okay, first of all, you are your current self, and the self that you want to be, what makes a certain amount of money or has a certain business, is this, right? To get there, it's like a wall of flames. It's pain, right? And pain is where resistance meets effort. So when you have effort and resistance, it causes pain. Pain is also where compliance with resistance meets time. So you have an option. You can either choose pain now and glory later, which is classic. I'm sure you've heard this all the time, or delusion now and pain later. I think that's pretty late in day. And that firewall that's getting you from one place to the next is only because of resistance. And it's mainly due to yourself. And that right there is something in psychology called survival bias. Your current sense of, let me just give you the definition. The survival bias is your current sense of self / identity, or your ego. Just like any living organism has a bias towards survival, that means it wants to survive, it wants to live and not die. This is where all this stuff comes from. So you need to know that when your goals threaten the survival of your current self, setting a goal that requires you to become someone new and building your evolved self on paper, so to say, is like putting yourself into a kickboxing to the death match, like with your current self. It's like literally just to the death. But this is gonna sound cliche. It's not fought with gloves. It's fought with resistance. It's literally psychological warfare, which is pretty cool to think about it in that way, right? It's interesting. And your new self in that battle, it has one weapon. You probably guess what it is. It's the work. Okay? So when you're fighting yourself to change, to get to that new point, from here to here, whatever, the only weapon that you have to get there is the work. Looking at this can help you understand that it's possible. I mean, this is just psychology, you know? Yeah, hopefully I've increased your consciousness. At least you know why you're not doing what you should be doing. And maybe you don't know the reason why, but you have an idea of how to get the why. And once you have the why, maybe you'll start doing it. And if you don't, then you're just going to die. Not literally die, but psychologically your goals will die. Stuff's deep, man. So, I mean, there's no moral code, and honestly, it'll do anything it can to maintain its life, like your current self. I mean, like, it'll manipulate you, make you doubt yourself, make you panic. You might already notice, like, the late night thoughts, the wondering if is this worth it? God, I've had that so many times where I'm just sitting there, I'm like, is this really worth it? Why am I doing this? Is this worth it? And you just cannot listen to that. God, that is hard to not listen to that. But let me say one thing before I end this video. The work, it'll win the battle every single time. No matter what it is, you will win the battle between your current self and who you want to be if you work. So, yeah, I'm gonna post everything in the comment or in the description about the different types, and hopefully this will get you off your ass.